Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the garage for another edition of Andy the Gabby Cabby. Hope everyone is all right and enjoying your weekends. It's nearly over. Well, what is all this about? This story about Jeremy Newmark is not going away anytime soon. In fact, it's exploding. The thumbnail of this particular live stream is here, and it's all about the fact that yesterday an apology of sorts entered the public arena. And to be quite honest, it is wholly unacceptable. Now, when an elected official, be it a councillor or an MP or anything of that nature, says what he says, that, in my mind, is the grounds for complete gross misconduct in public office, and they should be gone, no questions asked. And not only that, you're looking at defamation, slander, and any other kind of things you can throw at him. Now, as I said yesterday, my friend Noel Wilcox is spearheading the complaint on this situation. And let's get it right, folks. It is very serious. You can't just say things like this about normal general public and expect to get away with it. This is Noel's tweet that he put out. Formal complaint lodged. And this is a couple of days ago. Alongside 9 Reform UK branch chairs of Hertfordshire, I've submitted a formal complaint to the CEO of Hertsmere Borough Council regarding the conduct of Labour councillor Jeremy Newmark. Then he goes on to describe what Jeremy actually came out with, which we know all too well, and the fact it's unacceptable. Now, this has blown up for Noel because, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, this has been viewed 103,000 times, and it's made the news and everything else. Now, Jeremy made a statement on the situation, which ended up on Hertsmere Labour Party's website. And to be quite honest, the level of the apology he made was unacceptable. The first video I want to show you is this one here. It's my reaction to that apology.
Hello folks, I wanted to pull over and just record this quick video while I'm on the way to work. It would appear that Jeremy Newmark has offered an apology for the comments he made that I did a live about earlier. An apology, you say? Well, it wasn't quite that simple. Here is the beginning of the statement he made, which is available online. And he says some of the comments, and goes on with the old trope of that wasn't his intention, blah, blah, blah. And then goes on to deflect by trying to use Tommy Robinson as an excuse to justify why he said what he said. But when you have a look and do a search for what he claims Tommy said, there's no mention of it anywhere at all. So not only has he tried to deflect by blaming somebody else for his own cock-up, he's not really apologised at all. You either apologise for the whole thing or you don't bother. This, to me, stinks of a guy that's worried about his position, worried about his job, and is trying his best to do a bit of damage limitation. I don't know about you, but it's not bloody good enough and it doesn't wash with me. I got sent an email earlier. Well, it was a direct message off X, actually, with a previous incident with this councillor where he was involved, and there's plenty of information out there in the public domain as well. Let's just say that it isn't the first time that controversy, should we say, has reached the door of old Jeremy. So really, for the sake of everybody, for the sake of the reputation of your council, for the sake of your party, and for the benefit of all the constituents that put you there to represent them and not argue the toss about who said what, where and when, there's one thing you need to do: resign, or somebody needs to sack you. Not good enough, Jeremy. Not good enough by a mile.
Well, that's what I put out yesterday in response to the apology. And I know Paul Thorpe has done similar. But I don't know whether he's published it or not, so we won't go too far down that road, but I'm sure you can check his channel out later. It's standard, I'll give you half an apology, which I don't really mean, and deflect by blaming Tommy Robinson for something that he didn't actually say. So, in effect, one cancels out the other. It really is disgusting. It's not the fact that he said, you know, criminals and everything else. It's the fact he said nonce. You can't go around saying that without consequences. You know, look up the definition. Now, as I said, this has made the national news as well. And I want to play you a piece from GB News. It's about 4 minutes in length. And I think it's very important to cover because it goes through the whole myriad of, you know, what's gone on with this case. So have a listen.
I've watched that clip now at least half a dozen times. Every time I watch it, I think, what on earth was he thinking? Well, I'm joined now by somebody who was in the chamber at the time, and it's the Conservative councillor Alex Clarkson from Hertsmere Borough Council. Well, Alex, welcome to the studio in Westminster. Thanks for coming
Martin.
on.
Thank you.
It was an astonishing video. You could hear the oxygen sucked out of the room. What on earth was he thinking?
It's unbelievable. And you know, one of those gasps that you just heard in that clip was myself. I mean, I must pay tribute actually to Councillor Brett Rosehill. You know, Charlie Kirk said courage is what you stand up for what you believe in, and that councillor did, as did our group leader. All he did was say, listen, there's some flags in Tower Hamlets and Birmingham that are coming down. Isn't this an example of two-tier? Look how he was treated. It's typical of the Labour, both in Hertsmere and I believe in the country as a whole.
Later on, I'm going to be joined by one of the national organisers of Operation Razor Colours, and let me tell you this, he's utterly livid. He's a businessman, he's a family man. You know, he's been called a Nazi, he's been called a fascist, he's been called a racist, but even he was gobsmacked that it would be even a good idea to go down this route. What's been the reaction in the local area?
Well, look, you know, in Boreham Wood, there's flags flying from lampposts and indeed across Hertsmere. And that's the thing. If you look at that, you know, the march about kind of uniting the kingdom, you know, there was families, there was like toddlers in prams, there was pensioners, you know, having actually almost a picnic. I mean, there was the odd, you know, there's some odd violence. But if you look, Notting Hill Carnival's had more arrests. The Palestinian March earlier in September, more arrests. This is just typical of Labour's virtue signalling and the duplicity. You're all right. You know, they bang on about diversity inclusion, but only if you agree with them.
Weren't we told that after 14 years of Tory division and chaos, we'd have the adults back in control? Weren't we told that the Be Kind brigade are those from the left? All I've been seeing, certainly since the Razor Colours campaign started, is the politics of division. The words banded around like Nazi, fascist, racist, white supremacist. It's been astonishing. Even I wasn't prepared for them to use the word nonce.
No, absolutely. It's disgusting, and I think they should be ashamed of themselves. Look, people are concerned. The way of life is changing. There is pressure on local services. They are valid things to be concerned about. Look how you were moved to tears about that poem that girl came on. You know, there's a case to be made, and it's a case that, as Conservatives, you know, we've got unionists in our title for a reason as well. We will stand up for British values, and that includes flying the flag. Listen, I tell everyone in Boreham Wood, you know, buy that flagpole, put it in your front and back garden, hang it from out the window. It's a flag that unites this country. It's a flag we should be proud of.
Why is it, and I ask people from the Labour Party this all the time when they come in, why is it that they do seem to be ashamed of our flags? What's driving it?
Do you know what? I think they lost the political argument when the Cold War came down. You know, the world didn't choose socialism, so they go through identity politics. They go through our national identity to try and push their kind of wokey left argument. But it's unravelling now. You know, a few years ago, if you and I were having this conversation, we didn't, you know. But you can see now this issue is coming into the political mainstream. People are literally and metaphorically showing their pride for this country. And I think they do it because they divide and rule. And, you know, you're now seeing, I think, you know, they bang on about extreme right, and that's what we were labelled in that chamber Wednesday night. Yeah. Watch out for the far left. They're on the rise. We saw it in its extreme form. You know, someone who stood up to them, they couldn't beat him in debate. They silenced him forever. I think it's the far left this country needs to watch out for.
Do you know, I had that conversation with Lord Walney several times in past weeks. I had it since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I think something is going on. It's born of an intolerance. It's born of a sense of superiority. Has there been any incidents in your manor of people taking flags down?
Do you know what there has? There's been comments, you know, comments online. We get lots of emails from residents, actually, and I've had lots that people are genuinely concerned. Here's the proof. There was a by-election in this area at the moment. It was a Labour seat. The Conservatives won it. We stopped the reform surge. The Labour vote slumped by 34%. So there's the clearest indication that actually Labour's values aren't chiming with residents' values. No, there's no flags come down yet. The Liberal Democrats who run Hertfordshire want to take them down. They're unnecessary, but we'll fight against that. And I have a feeling that if they're taken down, they'll be put up the next day, not by extremist criminals, the stuff that Newmark branded people who are proud of this country are, but just by regular people who believe in the country.
Councillor Alex Clarkson, thanks for joining us today, coming from Hartsmith, Sears and Westminster. A pleasure to have your company. Now, we approach the Labour...
It's very easy, isn't it, to score political points over the back of something like this, but let's just drop the crap, shall we? There's right and there's wrong. There's not right and left, there's right and wrong. And what this guy said was very, very wrong. And you know, this video was quite a good overview of what the situation is, what was said, the consequences of it, and the reality of what's going on out in the streets. People are worried. People are standing up and saying, this is my country, sunshine. It's not yours. And, you know, they're partaking in something that they really want to be a part of and say, excuse me, we're not playing your games anymore. Well, as I said, Reform has put in a complaint courtesy of Noel Wilcox. And as a result of what you just heard in that video, the Conservatives at Hartsmere have joined in this as well. And there's a 2-page complaint. It's pretty much the same kind of thing, but I'll read the first page to you. We are writing on behalf of the Conservative group on Hartsmere Borough Council to raise a formal and grave complaint regarding the words and behaviour of the leader of the council, Councillor Jeremy Newmark, during a full council meeting on Wednesday night. While replying to a question from Councillor Brett Rosehill relating to the pride we rightly take in British values through the raising of the Union Jack on flagpoles across our borough, Councillor Newmark chose to use inflammatory and defamatory language. He branded those residents and community groups who support this movement as criminals, extremists, and used other offensive terms, which I will not repeat. Well, we know what he said. This language not only insulted our local residents, but also more than 100,000 people who peacefully attended the march in London last week. There was more than that, don't get me started. The vast majority of whom will be appalled by such categorisation. His words were intentionally provocative, deeply offensive, and profoundly beneath the standard of conduct expected of the leader of a council. By acting in this way, Councillor Newmark has breached the Nolan principles of public life, in particular respect, integrity, and leadership. He's demonstrated a lack of respect for residents, exercising their democratic freedoms, has misused his position irresponsibly, and failed to set the example in tone and conduct that public office demands. This behaviour has, in our view, brought Hartsmere Council into disrepute. And this goes on, and you can see over the second page as well, they talk about, bringing it into disrepute, the fact that it's reached the local media and it's not going away anytime soon. Now, this guy, as they rightly said in the actual news piece, he must think, what the hell was he thinking saying the stuff he did? Unacceptable by any nature. So there you go. That's the latest. What I want to do now is go through some of your reaction. And before I do that, if I can ask, as always, if you can hit the like button, if you haven't done so, help this go around the airwaves and subscribe to the channel if you're a newbie. Appreciate it very much. Okay, let's see what you had to say. So, Funky155, he has to go. And to be fair, he should be took to court for slandering those people. Leftism rhetoric is out of hand and very dangerous. Well, that's a good point, isn't it? Because if it was Joe Public who said something like that, they get a knock on the door and probably be in prison right now. So that is a very good point. I'll be bringing a video out a bit later, actually, about a young girl who had her phone taken for a social media post she looked at in May. You know, that's the kind of world we're living in right now. But when it's politicians, particularly of that ilk, then we seem to be playing by different rules. But at the end of the day, it's not left and right. It's right and wrong, in my view. Next one. Apology not accepted. Well, no, it's not. Because, you know, I apologise, but that's how it came across, and then immediately deflected off somewhere by talking about something Tommy Robinson may or may not have said. Disgusting. Kev C, too late. What's said is said. He should be sacked, then prosecuted, and not by a libel leftist judge. Absolutely. There should be consequences. You know, I am all for free speech. If you want to say something, then say it. You should have the freedom to say it. But, you know, when you hold certain positions, be it a media broadcaster, a politician, someone like me, you have to realize that there is a certain level of responsibility that comes with what you do. And people could and do take action on what you say. It's unacceptable. This guy is just completely unacceptable. And the fact he can't accept accountability for his actions, even more so. Unacceptable. Sack him. There you go. Jeffrey's another one. I looked him up on Google, and there's hardly anything about what he said, Shirley says. Well, if you look on the Hertsmere Labour website, there's statements and bits and pieces like that there, and you have to do a little bit of digging in other places too. It is out there. You just have to go looking for it. Dean, what he said in the chambers was gross misconduct, needs to be sacked, as it brings the council into disrepute. Absolutely, and that's what the Conservative people said on their letter to do with it. They've done the same as what Noel's done, basically, grouped together and said, right, let's put in a complaint. It was disgusting. He should be sacked. Absolutely, Shirley. That's Shirley from X. Anybody that's watching on X, thank you for watching. Please make sure you follow my X account. That's growing very nicely as well. Appreciate it very much. Same as YouTube, 153,000 subscribers. I've passed, and I think we've just hit 70 million views. That's total views on the channel. So I appreciate that very much, everybody. Keith Simpson, you say that you'd get a knock on the door from the police if they don't arrest him. It's all wrong. Katie Hopkins has been arrested for words. Lots of people have. Lots of people have. And as I said a few moments ago, I've got a story of a young girl that had her phone taken for something she looked at. So it's looking at now rather than just saying. It's a disgrace. Sharon, sack him. Apology means nothing because he's just trying to save his skin. Absolutely. The little bit of homework I've done and the little bit of homework that others have done, this isn't his first rodeo when it comes to controversy. So you have to wonder, and it's not Jeremy Newmark particularly, it's that breed as a whole. How do they survive as long as they do? That's the question. Albert Jones, too late. When it said Lucy Connolly was sorry after her tweet, didn't stop her going to prison, did it? Two-tier at its best. Absolutely. You know, one rule for them, one rule for us. Does this fall under that category? I think it does, very much. Jamie should sack all Labour politicians. They will bankrupt the country and turn it into a dictatorship. I saw a great article someone sent me where Rachel Reeves is talking about slapping VAT on taxi fares. So, yeah, they're just trying to get it anywhere they can. It's ridiculous. They're running it into the ground. Keith Young, hi from Australia. Wow, it's just after midnight. All this keeps me up all night. Well done. Thank you very much. What part of Australia are you from? Is it the West Coast, the East Coast? I was trying to arrange a live with somebody over there, something a bit different, but it's working out the time zones. RHST6616, I apologise, but exactly the point. But it's no apology at all, is it? He should be worried about more than that. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? And again, you know, I'm complaining about the left actually saying things which could enrage somebody, but it works both ways. You know, we live in such a politically charged atmosphere at the moment. It works both ways. People need to think about what comes out their mouths. Keith, it's in Labour's DNA to be abusive to people who don't agree with them. I've had conversations with lefties, and you know that you are getting the better of them when they start insulting you. And as soon as they do that, and not interested, back off. If you can't talk to me civilly, even when you're not getting your own way, I don't want to know. That's very simple. Shut them down. Jeremy Newmark is not what he pretends to be. Again, people need to have a look. As I always say, knowledge is power. Always knowledge is power. Typical narcissistic attitude. Nothing is ever their fault. Yeah, that's the thing with a narcissist, isn't it? If they do something wrong or they jump to a conclusion which is wrong, I don't apologise for it. It's very telling indeed. Maureen sent him a bar of soap. Is that when he trips over? Oh, don't. Very funny. RHST 6616, you could see the rabid hatred of white people in his rant in the council chambers. Yeah, it's not only him. I've seen it recently where they say something about the right and you can see the rage and the frothing of the mouth and the gritting teeth. Yes, overreaction, of course, but you know, this is what we're getting. Flags. It's a different world we live in now. Crazy. It's a good job we have free speech in this country. I love the sarcasm because you and I both know that there's a little bit more to it than that. Well, there you go, folks. That's the latest on Jeremy Newmark. Apology not accepted. GB News, it's on the national media. The complaint has blown up. And, you know, you're all of the same ilk. This, by any measure, is unacceptable. And the guy has to go. There's no two ways about it. Now, if he's got any shred of decency in him, which I'm really not sure of, he should resign. But if not, he should be forced out by his own party or whatever mechanism there is, because he's just brought the whole lot into utter shame, disrepute, whatever else you can call it. Anyway, thank you for listening, everybody. As I said, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share me on your socials. I'll be back in a little while with a video about a subject and maybe a live a little bit later on. I don't know about that yet, but definitely the video. So stay tuned. And as always, I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.